Hello and welcome to another Kerbal Space Program video. I'm just going to show you what I've done before I've started making the video, since I'm going to start recording every time I do this now. Let's look. Okay, R. Turner, you want to see what your ship's doing. This is the crazy orbit I put you in. There's your periapsis and apoapsis and how fast you're moving. So let's take a look at what you're actually flying in. As soon as it loads, that is. What the? Okay. And zoom out a little. And yeah, you're in a pretty big ship, actually. I think, oh, this is a lunar lander, actually. So I think I will maybe attempt to take this to the moon. Because it definitely has enough fuel for it. It's in a crazy orbit, though, so I don't know how effective that would be at going to the moon in this. But anyhow, that's the ship R. Turner is flying around in. So there you go. That's for you. And we're going to go back to the Space Center and pick out the next one as soon as it lets me. Slow, laggy, R. Turner 2. This one's on a bit of a crazier orbit. There's your, where you can see, oh, what? Oh, there it is. And this ship is, I think, also a lunar lander, just with a bit more fuel on it this time. Or maybe it has less, I'm not really sure. I'm not paying close enough attention. But it has this extra stage here that has more fuel in it. And that's the biggest difference. Pretty much the only difference between R. Turner and R. Turner 2. So maybe we'll try to fly this one to the moon as well. And see how that goes for us. Which may or may not go well at all. But we shall see. Okay, and editing magics, we can go straight to the KSP2 apoapsis, and it's right near its apoapsis, and the periapsis, of course. Yay, fancy words, and waiting for it to load, and waiting for it to load, and there we go. Just a tiny ship. I just put this one up in orbit just to see if I could get something into orbit. It's not really fancy or anything. So let's go to the next one. I am lazy and could have edited this out, but I'm so lazy that I'm not going to do it. Instead, I'm going to pretend to sing or something. KSP3 is in a perfect polar orbit. Well, not perfect, but it's still pretty cool, I think. It's perfect as far as like degrees, like it's 0 degrees off. It's perfectly in a polar orbit, but it's not perfect in that the lower the periapsis and the apoapsis are, what do you call it? They're not perfect. And, hopefully I will actually go and fly this thing now, but this clip is being stupidly slow. What the freaking gosh? Ugh. And it switched to another clip. Huh, I wonder why I had to stop recording and start recording again. Well, anyhow, here we go. And you can see this is pretty much the same ship. The difference is the stages before it got to this stage had more fuel in them, so I had more fuel to get into a good orbit. Also, this actually does have, if you look closely, it has 2 tanks of fuel instead of 1. So it actually was different. I thought it was the same thing, but it was different. And now we're going to go look at, I think the KSP5, or no, the long shot 1. Okay. Periapsis and apoapsis. The long shot one, basically the idea was to get something in a big orbit. You know, it's an orbit that's pretty far out. And I think I succeeded. And again, it's the same basic design, just a little more fuel to go. And I don't know how much fuel is left. I can't actually see it that close right now, the way I'm recording this. But yeah, that's pretty much the status of that one. So you can see where it's at and what it's doing. And I actually just figured out why I had such a long clip there. Turns out I decided the long shot needed to go further out because it wasn't really reaching its goal. I had it in like just a regular little orbit, and it needs to be going far out because it's out for the long shot, because it's the long shot, because long shot. I don't know. So I decided to bring it out to about 4,000 meters, or 4 million meters, or 4 million kilometers. I don't know. It's something with the 4, and you can see it if you're in HD, and I can't because I can't right now. I'm also going very fast. Okay, KSP7 is actually in orbit around the moon. and you can see it's in a nice little orbit. And the only thing is, I think it's low on fuel, and it's also not a lander craft, as you can see here in a moment. Maybe there we go. You can see it's not really designed to land on the moon, else I would have landed it on the moon. Alright, so back to the next one, back to the next one, 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 the next one is the Munar 3. Oh yes, this is the closest I ever got to landing on the moon, and the result was a bit of a disaster actually afterwards, I think. Or I might be thinking about a different one when I say that. Let me look at it. I'm pretty sure this was my lander. It might not be. I'm not sure. All I know is one of my landers, I got one lander built successfully, and I landed it on the moon, but I bounced the first time I touched down because I was being like really paranoid and touchy about it because I didn't want it to blow up. And then the second time it touched down, it landed just a touch too hard and broke one of the winglets off, and so I had to abort it. And that might actually be the one that's in a crazy orbit around the moon. That I think is what I'm about to show you next. Let me just load this up, and oh no, I'm going to show you the timekeeper. Basically, since the game doesn't actually... What? Why is it making that noise? Okay, that's really strange. Well, I landed a capsule on Kerbal and decided to keep it there on Kerbal to kind of keep time for how long I play this game, because I will eventually end the KSP2's mission, which is the longest going mission right now. You know, I'll eventually be ending some of these missions and bringing them back down and whatnot. Oh yeah, you can see the ring of Mad Mike 7 debris around there. You see that? That's where all those thrusters broke off, and they're in like a very similar orbit, just enough of a different orbit to, you know, go slightly different and separate. Now the KSP-8, that's the KSP-8 right there. That one's in a crazy orbit. This one might be my lander. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's either the Munar 3 or the KSP-8, but either way, the lander had some issues with landing, and I'm pretty sure it was the Munar 3, because this doesn't look like a standard lander design. This one I probably just brought out here just because I could, but I kind of did a pretty bad job at it. And so that was that one. And the next one, is there a next one? I don't even remember. Yes, there's one more. What? No, wait, that's what I just showed. Okay, well, you can see how crazy the orbit is, and you can see I have 3 things in orbit, and I didn't actually know I had 3 things in orbit, so that's a bit strange, actually.